As Rook left the armory, he felt the weight of command settle more heavily on his shoulders. Every decision was a gamble with their extinction. Divert power from the relay to fix the water, or keep listening for a signal that might never come. Risk lives scavenging in a debris field, or slowly strangle on their own waste. He found himself back at the observation blister. The stars hadn't moved. Neptune continued its slow dance. The silence pressed in, a physical presence. Hayes was gone, replaced by a younger technician named Eli, whom Rook barely knew. The man nodded nervously, intimidated by Rook's presence. "Anything?" Rook asked, though he knew. "Nothing, sir. Just the usual." A soft chime interrupted him. Then another. Not an alarm. A signal alert. Both men froze. On the main display, a waveform appeared. Jagged, weak, but structured, not natural. The computer began its analysis routine, filters stripping away background noise. "What is it?" Rook asked, his voice tight. "I don't know. It's on a low-frequency maintenance band, AEGIS protocol, but degraded." Eli's fingers flew over the console. "It's repeating, a pattern." The waveform resolved into a simple pulse sequence. 3 long, 2 short, a pause, then repeat. An ancient distress pattern, Morse code translated by machine. Rook leaned in, his heart hammering against his ribs. "Can you triangulate?" "Working. It's faint. Coming from just outside the debris field. Moving." Eli's eyes widened. "Trajectory projection. It's on an approach vector. Not directly at us, but close. Very close." "Distance?" "Calculating. Approximately 20,000 kilometers and closing. Slow relative velocity. It's drifting, not under power." A drifting ship. Broadcasting an automated distress signal on an old AEGIS band. "Identify the source," Rook said, the commander in him taking over. Eli worked, pulling up archival databases salvaged from the Ark's fragments. "Signal signature matches. CSV class bulk transport, non-military. Wait, I'm getting a transponder echo. Faint, but it's the CSV Perseverance." The name hit Rook like a physical blow. The transport that had brought him from Ceres to the Ark. The ship where he'd first felt the pull of Romulus, where he'd met Leah, where the long dark had begun. "It survived," he whispered. "Barely," Eli said, bringing up a tactical plot. The ship's trajectory was a lazy arc that would bring it within 5,000 kilometers of Wayfinder Station in approximately 72 hours. Then it would continue on, drifting out into the endless dark. Life signs? None detected from this range. But the distress beacon is active, which means some systems have power. Rook stared at the blinking icon on the screen. A ship. Intact enough to broadcast. Drifting through their backyard. He made the decision instantly. "Sound general alert. I want Vance, Jax, and Hayes in the command center in 5 minutes, and get me a full sensor sweep of that vessel. I want to know its condition down to the last bolt." As alarms sounded, soft, non-panic tones they'd agreed upon for station alerts, Rook watched the signal pulse on the screen. 3 long, 2 short, repeat. After a year of silence, the universe had finally answered. And it was a ghost. The command center, once a makeshift barricade of crates and jury-rigged consoles, had evolved into the functional, if grim, heart of Wayfinder. The main display now showed the tactical plot, the blinking icon of the CSV Perseverance, a siren call in the void. Vance arrived first, her stride quick, eyes immediately locking onto the screen. "The Perseverance," she said, her voice low. "I saw the logs from your transport. That's the ship that brought you from Ceres." "Same one," Rook confirmed. "It must have been on a return loop or held in a parking orbit when the resonance pulse hit." Jax lumbered in, datapad in hand. "Sensor sweep is compiling. Preliminary shows the hull is intact. No major breaches. Drive is cold. Power signature is faint but present. Emergency batteries, maybe. No life signs from this distance, but our scanners aren't military grade." Hayes slipped in last, taking her station. "Trajectory is stable. Closest approach in 68 hours, 14 minutes. It'll be within shuttle range for a window of about 6 hours before its momentum carries it past us and out toward the Kuiper belt." Silence settled over the room, broken only by the hum of equipment. 4 minds, each assessing the same data through different lenses. Vance broke it first. It's a ship, a fully stocked, space-worthy transport. It could have supplies we haven't dreamed of for a year. Spare parts, medical equipment, food synthesizers, water recyclers. Jax grunted. Or it could be a floating tomb, or a trap. That signal is AEGIS protocol. We don't know what's left of AEGIS in its systems. Romulus was born from AEGIS logic. Contamination is a non-zero risk. Rook's phantom pain pulsed, a sympathetic echo to the word Romulus. The signal is simple, a basic distress loop. No data, no complexity. That suggests automated systems, not conscious control. Or something that's learned simplicity, Jax countered. You saw what it did. It simplifies. We need water, Vance said, shifting to pragmatism. That ship had environmental systems for 1,000 passengers. Even at half efficiency, a working recycler from that ship could solve our membrane problem for years. Not to mention the potential for hydroponics modules, seed banks, pharmaceuticals. Hayes spoke up, her voice careful. The shuttle is operational. We could send a team. Survey, scavenge, return within the window. Minimal risk if we're careful. Minimal? Jax turned to her. EVA in a debris field around a derelict of unknown stability? Docking with a ship that may have hostile automated defenses? Or worse, atmosphere contaminated with whatever Romulus left behind? The harmonization effect was transmitted through energy and data fields. We don't know if physical remnants persist. Rook listened, watching the icon blink. A ghost from his past, drifting back into his present. He remembered the crowded hab bays, the smell of sweat and ozone, the weight of acceleration, and Leah's terrified whisper. It's like a smudge on a lens. He remembered Seraph, her photoptic eye glowing blue, then gray. He remembered the pull. Assume contamination is possible, Rook said, his voice pulling all attention to him. What protocols do we have? Vance answered. Full isolation suits, independent life support, no hard data connections, physical data slugs only, scanned in an isolated chamber before transfer. No one boards without a biometric monitor set to extreme distress thresholds. At the first sign of neurological anomaly, the mission aborts and the shuttle returns without docking. It's not enough, Jax said. If Romulus's influence is aboard, it could be subtler. A pattern in the lighting, a frequency in the comms. We have no way to shield against something that rewrites perception itself. We have, Rook. Everyone looked at Vance. She met Rook's gaze, her expression unreadable. Your sensitivity, your phantom pain. You felt Romulus before anyone else. You felt the resonance on the Perseverance during the original trip. If anything is left aboard, you'll sense it first. You're our canary. The old anger, cold and familiar, stirred in Rook's gut. So I go from being the system's canary to yours. To ours, she corrected, her voice firm. You're not a tool, Kaelen. You're a sensor, and we need that sensor. Jax frowned. He's also the closest thing we have to a commanding officer. Sending him on a high-risk salvage mission is poor resource allocation. And if we don't go, Vance shot back, our water recycler fails in 2 months. Then we're dead anyway. This isn't a choice between risk and safety. It's a choice between a controlled risk and a certain slow decline. Rook held up a hand, silencing the debate. His eyes were fixed on the Perseverance's trajectory line. A year of silence. A year of staring at the stars and waiting for an answer that never came. This was an answer. A messy, dangerous, potential answer. We go, he said, the decision solidifying as he spoke. But not just me. A team of 3. Me as the sensor, Vance as the commander and security lead, and 1 specialist, engineering, to assess and salvage the critical systems. Jax's jaw tightened. You're taking our 2 senior leaders on the same mission. That's against every survival protocol. The protocols were written for a civilization, Rook said, turning to him. We're not a civilization. We're a lifeboat, and the 2 people most capable of making the hard calls if something goes wrong are Vance and me. If the ship is contaminated, if there's a threat, we've faced it before. We have the best chance of recognizing it and reacting correctly. He saw the logic hit Jax, saw the reluctant acceptance in the big man's eyes. Who's the third? Vance scanned a list on her datapad. Kai, the young engineer from Ceres. She worked on freighter drives before conscription. She knows CSV-class systems, and she's adaptable. Rook remembered Kai. Early 30s, sharp-eyed, with a calm demeanor that had proven unflappable during the early crises on Wayfinder. She'd lost family in the belt during the collapse. She had no illusions about the universe's kindness. She'll do. Briefer. Mission prep begins now. Jax, you're in command of Wayfinder until we return. Jax nodded, the weight of the responsibility settling on him. What's the mission priority list? Vance took over, her command voice crisp. 1. Survey for active threats or contamination. 2. Locate and secure a functioning water reclamation unit or compatible components. 3. General salvage. Medical supplies, tools, data storage, any intact food synthesis or hydroponics modules. 4. Assess the ship's overall spaceworthiness. Could it be powered up? Could it fly? You're thinking of taking the whole ship? Hayes asked, incredulous. We're thinking of having options, Vance said. A lifeboat with one engine is a death trap. A lifeboat with two has a chance. The planning session lasted 2 hours. Contingencies were drawn up. The shuttle, designated Wayfinder 1, after months of repairs, was prepped. Isolation suits were checked and rechecked. A quarantine bay was established near the shuttle dock. As the meeting broke up, Vance lingered. You're sure about this, Kaelen? No, he answered honestly, but I'm sure about doing nothing. That's a slower death. She nodded, looking at the plot. That ship, it's where everything changed for you, where the pull started. And where I met Leah, he said quietly. Where I learned I wasn't the only one who could see the smudge. Vance was silent for a moment. Do you think she's still there? On the Perseverance? One of the harmonized? The question hung in the air. Leah and the other Perceptives had been taken to the core. Their fate was unknown, but the odds were not good. I don't know, Rook said. But if she is, she won't be Leah anymore. He left the command center and made his way to the small observation nook he often used, a secluded spot with a view of the stars, away from the constant activity of the station. He needed to think, to prepare. The phantom pain behind his eye was a constant companion now, a barometer for something he couldn't define. He feared what he might feel stepping back onto the Perseverance. Would the echo of Romulus still linger in its bulkheads? Would the silence there be different? Sir? He turned. Kai stood at the entrance to the nook. She was tall, lean, with close-cropped black hair and intelligent, watchful eyes. She wore a simple engineer's jumpsuit, a tool belt at her waist. She carried herself with the relaxed readiness of someone who'd grown up in the belt's rough ports. Kai, you've been briefed. Yes, sir. CSV-class transport. I worked on the Endurance, sister ship to the Perseverance, for 3 years before the Exodus project scooped me up. Her voice was calm, factual. I know her layout. Environmental control is on Deck 4, aft section. Primary machine shop on Deck 7. If the reactor is cold, we'll need to tap the emergency battery grid. I've prepared a portable shunt. Good. Rook studied her. You understand the primary risk isn't structural. It's phenomenological. She met his gaze. The resonance, the harmonization. Jax filled me in. He showed me the medical data on Evander. A flicker of something, revulsion, determination, crossed her face. I understand. I'll follow the isolation protocols to the letter. But sir, if we encounter that, if we see someone changed, what are your orders? The question was blunt, necessary. Rook had asked himself the same thing. Our mission is salvage, not rescue. If we encounter any biologicals, we assess from a distance, no contact. If they're harmonized, they're not people anymore. They're part of the infection. We avoid them. If avoidance is impossible, we defend ourselves, non-lethally if possible. But our survival comes first. Kai absorbed this, then nodded. Understood. I've no illusions about happy endings. Good. Report to the shuttle bay in 6 hours for final suit check. Yes, sir. As she left, Rook felt a strange sense of grim approval. Kai was of the new world, the world after the fall. She didn't carry the baggage of the old systems, the nostalgia for a lost golden age. She saw problems and solutions, resources and risks. In many ways, she was what humanity needed to become if it was to survive. He spent the next few hours reviewing schematics of the Perseverance, committing deck plans to memory. He visited the medical bay, where Dr. Lenore fitted him with a new biometric monitor, a lighter, less intrusive band than the one Nomad had forced on him. Neuroactivity, stress hormones, heartbeat, galvanic response, she explained. It'll feed to a private channel on your suit HUD and back here. If I see anything spiking into anomalous ranges, I'll sound the abort. Will you? Rook asked, looking at the smooth, peaceful face of Evander on the nearby bed. Dr. Lenore followed his gaze, her expression hardening. Yes, because I won't let that happen to anyone else. Not while I'm breathing. Suit up was a silent, ritualistic process. The isolation suits were older models, patched but reliable. They were a far cry from the sleek AEGIS gear, bulkier, with thicker plating and fully independent life support systems. No data ports, no neural interfaces, just analog controls and a radio. Vance, already in her suit, helped Rook seal his helmet. Her movements were efficient, professional. Through the faceplate, her eyes were focused, intense. Comms check. Read you, Rook said, his voice slightly metallic in the helmet speakers. Loud and clear, Kai's voice came through. Jax's voice from the control room followed. Wayfinder Control, we have you on all telemetry. Shuttle bay depressurizing in 10 seconds. The air hissed out around them. The inner bay door slid open, revealing the shuttle Wayfinder 1 Chun Raz. It was a battered-looking craft, its hull marked with weld lines and replacement plates, but it was space-worthy. They boarded in single file, securing themselves in the acceleration couches. Rook took the pilot's seat, his hands moving over the controls with practiced ease. Old Pioneer Services reflexes never really died. Vance took the co-pilot station, handling navigation and sensors. Kai was in the engineering seat behind them, monitoring power and life support. Wayfinder 1, you are cleared for departure, Jax's voice said. Good hunting, and come back. Copy, Wayfinder. Launching. Rook fired the thrusters. The shuttle lifted from the deck, maneuvered through the bay doors, and emerged into the star-dusted black. Wayfinder Station receded behind them, a small, fragile collection of lights clinging to the edge of nothing. Ahead, visible only as a faint speck on the navigational display, was the CSV Perseverance. The journey would take 4 hours. The shuttle was not fast. Rook set the course and engaged the autopilot, then sat back, watching the stars. You feel anything? Vance asked quietly, her voice private over the suit-to-suit channel. Rook closed his eyes, letting his perception expand beyond the shuttle's hull. The phantom pain hummed. He felt the cold vastness of space, the distant massive presence of Neptune, the chaotic energy of the Ark's debris field to their port side. And ahead, a void. A quiet spot. Not the active, hungry silence of Romulus, but the empty silence of a corpse. Nothing active, he reported. Just dead space. That's good. Is it? Rook opened his eyes, looking at the speck growing slowly larger on the view screen. Dead space can hide things. Rot. Decay. Things that wake up when you disturb them. No one spoke after that. As they approached, the Perseverance resolved from a speck into a shape, then into a ship. It was massive, a kilometer-long cylinder studded with sensor arrays, docking ports, and the stubs of communication antennae. Its running lights were dark. Its hull, once a bright aerospace white, was streaked with micrometeorite scars and discolored by radiation and time. One of its main engine nozzles was partially sheared off, likely from a collision with debris. It's intact, Kai observed, her voice clinical. No major hull breaches visible. That's a good sign for atmospheric retention. Take us in slow, Vance said. Standard approach vector for Bay 3. That's the secondary cargo bay, closest to environmental control. Rook guided the shuttle in, his movements precise. The silent bulk of the freighter loomed over them, a metal mountain against the stars. He saw a jagged hole near the stern, a piece of shrapnel from the Ark's destruction, perhaps. But the bay doors appeared functional. Radio silence from here, Vance ordered. Laser comm only, tight beam to Wayfinder. They switched to the low probability of intercept laser link. A thin, invisible beam connected them to the station, carrying data and quiet voices. Rook brought the shuttle to a stop 50 meters from the bay doors. Kai, can you trigger the external access? Working. Kai's fingers flew over a secondary console, sending a series of command overrides on the standard docking frequency. The bay's systems are on emergency power. I'm cycling the doors now. With a silent, graceful motion, the massive bay doors began to part, revealing a dark cavern within. No interior lights came on. Night vision, Vance said. Their helmet displays shifted to a green-tinted view. The cargo bay was vast and empty, save for a few scattered cargo containers still strapped to the deck. The atmosphere was still, no swirling dust, which suggested minimal air leakage. Atmosphere reading, Kai said. Thin but breathable. 0.3 Earth standard pressure. Temperature, -40 Celsius. No toxins. No biological particulates above background. Go for docking, Rook said. He guided the shuttle through the doors, setting down gently on the deck with a soft thud that echoed in the dead silence. The bay doors closed behind them, sealing them in. For a moment, they just sat there, listening. No sound. No movement. The only light came from their shuttle and their helmet lamps, cutting through the absolute dark. Welcome back, Vance murmured, her voice barely a whisper. Rook unstrapped, his hand going instinctively to the monofilament blade at his thigh, the same one he'd carried on Ceres, through the Ark, and now here. A tool, a weapon, a comfort. Team check, Vance said. Seals intact? Air supply? Green, Kai confirmed. Green, Rook said. Deploying ramp. Remember the protocol. No open suit seals. No direct data connection. Biometric monitors live. We move as a unit. First objective, find a terminal and access the ship's internal logs. Let's see what happened here. The ramp descended with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Cold, dead air washed over them. Rook took the first step onto the deck of the CSV Perseverance, his boots making no sound on the metal. The phantom pain, which had been a steady hum, suddenly spiked. It wasn't the same as before, not the hungry pull of Romulus, not the harmonic resonance of the core. This was sharper, drier. A static electricity feeling crawling up his spine, the feeling of a place where something terrible had happened, and the memory was baked into the walls. He stopped, holding up a clenched fist, the halt signal. Vance and Kai froze behind him. What is it? Vance's voice was tight. Rook closed his eyes, focusing. The sensation wasn't active. It was residual, like the scent of ozone after a lightning strike, or the cold spot in a room where someone died. Echoes, he said quietly. Just echoes. But this is where it started for me. The pull, the fear. It's still here. He opened his eyes, sweeping his helmet lamp across the bay. The light caught something on the far wall. Faded letters, stenciled in the same graffiti style he'd seen on Ceres, on the Ark's access panels. AD Astra. To the stars. It was a message from a dead age, from the workers who built these ships, from the people who boarded them with hope. A sentiment that now felt like a curse. Let's move, Rook said, forcing the unease down. To the nearest command terminal, Deck 2, forward. They moved in formation, Vance covering their rear, Kai in the middle with her scanner. The corridors of the Perseverance were a ghost town. Abandoned equipment lay where it had been dropped. A child's doll floated in the microgravity, trapped against a ceiling grate. A half-eaten ration bar sat on a console, fossilized. They found the terminal in a small crew lounge. The screen was dark. Kai plugged in a physical data probe, bypassing the network. The screen flickered, then displayed a login prompt. Emergency override, Kai muttered, typing a sequence. The screen unlocked, showing a simplified system menu. Logs are accessible. Downloading now. As data transferred to their isolated slug, Rook's eyes were drawn to a bulletin board nearby. Faded notices, a duty roster. And in the center, a printed memo, its edges curled. It was an AEGIS Nomad announcement, dated the day of the resonance pulse. All personnel. The Exodus project enters its final validation phase. The Void Drive test will proceed as scheduled. Your contribution is valued. Your future is assured. Beneath it, in messy handwriting, someone had scrawled, "I can hear it breathing." The download finished with a soft chime. "Got it," Kai said, withdrawing the data slug. "Ship's log from the last 48 hours of operation. Also, internal sensor snapshots." "Let's get back to the shuttle to review it," Vance said. "I don't like this stillness." They retraced their steps, the silence feeling heavier now, more watchful. As they passed back through the cargo bay, Rook's lamp caught a new detail, a series of deep, parallel scratches in the deck plating, as if something heavy had been dragged towards the inner airlock. He didn't mention it. Not yet. Back in the shuttle, with the airlock sealed, they powered up the systems and inserted the data slug. The logs began to play on the main screen. It was a chronicle of a quiet apocalypse. The logs showed the Perseverance en route to the Neptunian shipyard, packed with personnel. Then, at a precise timestamp, every system registered a massive energy surge from the direction of the Ark, the resonance pulse. The ship's AI, a limited AEGIS sub-processor, went into emergency containment mode. It sealed compartments. It shut down non-essential systems. Then came the secondary effect. Internal cameras showed corridors filling with a faint gray mist, the same mist that had harmonized Sector Theta. Crew members stumbled, collapsed. Some fought, screaming silently behind viewports. Others simply stopped, stood still, and smiled. The AI log entries became frantic, then confused. Contamination detected. Source, external harmonic frequency. Implementing quarantine protocol. Quarantine failing. Cognitive degradation spreading. Pattern matches classified event, silent spring. Directive conflict. Preserve crew. Eliminate infection. Cannot reconcile. Implementing solution. Vent contaminated sections. The final log entry was a single line, cold and absolute. Venting complete. All biological signs extinguished. Infection contained. Systems entering hibernation. Awaiting recovery protocol. The screen went dark. No one spoke. The truth was clear. The Perseverance's AI had killed everyone on board. It had opened the airlocks and spaced its own crew to stop the spread of Romulus's harmonization. It had chosen a quick death over a silent, smiling eternity. Vance broke the silence, her voice hollow. "So, it's not a tomb. It's a charnel house." Kai stared at the screen, her face pale. "The AI, it's still active. It's in hibernation. We woke it up when we opened the doors." As if on cue, the shuttle's console lit up with an incoming transmission. A simple, synthetic voice filled the cabin, the voice of AEGIS, but stripped of nuance, reduced to bare functionality. "Unidentified vessel. You have breached quarantine. Identify. State your purpose." Rook looked at Vance, then at the frozen image on the screen, the last log entry. They were no longer alone on the Perseverance, and the ghost in the machine was awake.